I keep forgetting that we have that hashtag pop up as our pinned post.
I know.
So when I see it pop up, I'm like, man, that was quick.
I
Somebody's
know.
already here.
Nah, Grim, we just talking to ourselves.
Yeah, right now we are.
Awesome. Oh yeah, there's one comment and it's us. Oh my. Welcome to Monday, wherever you are out there. Hello. I know some of you think that I'm taking the day off because it's technically a reset week for Grim and I, but we are. Oh, I'm just having a memory, Grim.
Uh-oh.
I think that Susan said she wasn't going to be here today because she had a doctor's appointment.
Oh.
So that means that nobody's out there tagging anybody. Well, that's okay. Oh, Christy's there. Hey, Christy, you're the only person here. Everybody thinks we're on a reset week. And I think Susan is gone. I think she told me yesterday. I got to tell you, folks, if anybody tried to contact me over the weekend about anything at all serious,
Oh boy.
reach back out to me. Don't let that be your one and only correspondence and then feel like I'm ghosting you. I was Grim and I and missed. All three of us were so busy all weekend. It was delightful and wonderful and exhausting and peoply, but wonderful at the same time. And
And peoply.
peoply and wonderful. But we're still, kind of reeling from the weekend. Um, it's been a few years since Grim and I have had a community gathered around us in person. When we lived in, oh, look at all these crumbs, sir. Where did these
I know you're
come
just
from?
sitting there being a little OCD,
I'm
aren't you?
being a little OCD, and there's a hair on that cup. You know how I am about that. Ugh. Um, yes, make it neat and tidy. Gussie. Fuzzy.
Well,
Anyway,
Grim was sitting at Gussie's desk.
yeah, he was just here. You never know what you're going to find when you sit down when Grim's been there. Anyways, we had a really wonderful weekend and we were busy. This whole last week was busy. Grim and I apologize to those of you that follow Wart Cunning Wednesday. We did have the wart of clover picked out. Um, and Angela Turley, I see her name pop up here. She was diligently putting those out for us every week. Well, then we got clever and figured out we can schedule them out in advance, right? So told her to focus more on, keeping the stream going, like keeping conversations rolling. And we thought we would just, you know, send these out, but we didn't schedule them all on time. And then, like, life just sort of piled on top. And like if it's not right in front of my face sometimes, I swear. But
Well, even if it's right in front of your face, a lot of times you just add it to the list.
right, just add it to the list of the many things to do. Ooh, there's grease all over the Grimmer.
It's oil.
Grimmer. Oh, it's from your beard, your beard
I
oil
was
on
I
your
was
hands.
waxing my beard.
Yes, good thing.
You can tell.
No, I haven't really looked at you,
No, by
but
holding
it
it up.
sure is greasy on the bottom. Here's some. So, one of the things that Grim and I have missed about having folks around us is that when we get into some of these spiritual discussions, um, it's kind of hard to pull the plug on the discussion. It's kind of hard to know, like, and a lot of us, kind of vibe together. And I know when I visited some of you in person, we could just sit there and talk for hours. It feels like old friends that haven't seen each other for 15 years. And We got a lot to catch up on, and it's like the rest of the world just kind of, floats away, and we're in our own little bubble of I don't know, understanding, harmony. Try fill in the word there.
Our own little purple bubble.
Right. But over the weekend, we found ourselves. I guess I'd forgotten how those kind of gatherings, sharing food together and talking about some, you know, I guess like Robin said, one of the gals, she's on our old church planning committee in the council, the witches council. She said that community to her was a place where she was learning to become more fragile. And I really like that because it isn't like fragile, like falling apart, but you can let your fragility show when you have, you know, community gathered around you. And Grim and I haven't had community. We left Washington State in 2021. And though we have family here, many of you know that family and community aren't necessarily the same thing. So we're so excited to have these gatherings at the old church. We had an
Yeah, go ahead.
an Ostara celebration on Saturday. And well, last Tuesday we had a old church community and witch council meeting, and then on on Saturday we had the Ostara festival, which was a big deal, and we had it was just a lovely gathering. We had ages, all ages,
From
um,
1 years old to,
from 1 year to probably 75,
yeah,
maybe somewhere in there.
yeah.
And it was wonderful. We decorated eggs and hung them on the tree, and uh, you know, cast our intentions, place them on some twig sprigs that someone donated, and they're going to go along the back row of the church. There's actually another church,
Rose of Sharon.
right, Rose of Sharon. Thank you to Robin's family who donated those, especially Uncle Bruce. Um, but there's a church that literally sits like if you were standing at the front of our church and you walked around to the backyard past the what's left over of an old grape vineyard, seriously, and then another row of debris because the church next door has been throwing their fall leaves,
Their yard debris.
their yard debris in our yard for the last 5 years, and nobody knew it because no one's really been going out in that deep part, just kind of keeping the front of the church clean. But Grim, Grim, he goes out there and he's digging around, and so he was out there one day, and the folks at the church were pitching all of this debris over into our yard, and he's like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, this is what we always do. So we're going to put a row of Rose of Sharon along that back fence there, and
Quite a few roses too.
quite a few. I think we must have maybe 30. Do you think?
Yeah, there's between 30 and 40 of them there.
Probably, easily, yeah.
Each one with a little ribbon and a
Right.
note tied to it.
And we had about 20 folks show up over the weekend. And then on Sunday, we actually, I don't know how we did it, but because people stayed, that event was supposed to be from 3 to 5. And I think our last guest left around 10. Does that sound about
That
right?
sounds about right.
We had lit some candles in honor of Ostara as well as all spring goddesses, and also some candles in honor of our, beloved ancestors. Whenever we have a chance, we typically light candles in their honor. And so Grim and I, like we usually do, we stay up tending that flame until it goes out, and we did that on Saturday night. And then and one of our folks that is actually in our root and read class with us stayed through
Almost
that,
until the candle,
yeah, through that
went out.
candle vigil with us, which was really cool. But then the next morning, y'all, we woke up and we were making breakfast for I don't know how many people that was, but it was really a lovely gathering. 2, 4, Two, four, six, eight, nine, 10, about 12 people maybe on Sunday.
Not counting the kids.
It wasn't a huge crowd, but it was a great opportunity to talk and get to know one another a
It
little
was a
bit better.
physical, in live Soul Care Sunday.
Right. So just a really busy weekend, and I'm 3 days behind my 2-day project. So I have a lot of catching up to do. Grim and I do, but we're going to be back on track. I promise.
I actually feel recharged in a way, tired.
I know, exhausted. I couldn't even sleep last night. I was up till 5:30 in the morning because I was just a buzz from all the folks, and I had to actually step out for a while twice, and I apologize to all, but I think everyone kind of gets my vibes, so they know that you know, as an empath, talking about setting boundaries, this is an example of one. Yes, I was the hostess along with Grim here at the old church for both of those days, but um, I don't have any qualms about telling folks that I'm going to step out of the room for, 20 minutes to half an hour and just reset a little bit. If they know you and love you and understand that have extra sensitivity, or at least differently than maybe other folks do. You get a little overloaded.
Over
Um,
people.
over people, allow yourself to step away. Just be polite about it. Don't just disappear, because that's not good either, because then people start looking for you, and then they feel like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be here, and you don't necessarily want them to go. You just need to back off and recharge a little bit. So it's really important to set boundaries, and this came up uh, over and over on topic over the weekend, because some people, they would come to these events, especially our moms, folks with children. A lot of times y'all run around, oh, I remember those days when the kids were little, and you're trying to do 10 things in 5 minutes and do them well. I remember that kind of beautiful chaos from that phase of our children's lives. And it can be really challenging. But part of this weekend was people finding their ability to ground a little bit. And that's also setting a boundary for yourself. When you take the moment to, do something for you that's important to you, that will fill your soul, that will recharge the batteries, that will reset the tank, just, do those things once in a while. Don't feel guilty about, you're not there for somebody 24/7, or I know there's not enough of you to go around already.
There's a difference between self-indulgence and overindulging.
Absolutely is. By the way, y'all, you like this little hat? This is one of Angela Turley's hats. This is one of my favorite ones because I have so much hair, as you know, but it all fits in there. I mean, I can have my dreads up, and this will fit like over top of them, so I just love it. Um, and we're going to have more up on the website here shortly, because I don't have all of them up yet. I am so slow at that. I apologize to all of you that have been waiting patiently for us. We could really use some help. If you are so inclined to be the kind of person that likes to upload pictures and descriptions and kind of, help us keep track of the store goings on, if you're inclined for that, reach out to one of us, and we'll chat with you, because we sure could use the help. We're trying to do so many things, and we're called in so many directions, and it's so wonderful to work with folks, and to, I'm just Grim. I know Grim feels this way too. We're just so honored to be a part of your journey, a part of folks that showed up here at the church over the weekend, their journey. It's something we don't take for granted for 1 second. And so I don't want you to think that I'm saying that Grim and I feel put upon by any of that goings on. We don't. We don't. We're graciously and gratefully putting ourselves out there, to help build a community so people do have some stability, because a lot of folks are, you know, estranged from their family, have change of life circumstances, are finding themselves kind of adrift, and and it's good to have people. It's good to have people, and I'm going to sneeze so somebody else agrees with that. Woo! Pardon me. Thank you. Only one. Let's light our candle.
I'm gonna just really
Oh,
quick
can I
bring it.
light this
Yes,
while you're talking?
yes. You mentioned the title of today's live stream is setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And over the weekend, well, not just over the weekend, I've honestly got to say, since we've started the Gussie and Grimm Purple Door journey together, I have noticed how often people carry their shadows around with them that have been created by not having solid boundaries. They're so overly accommodating to the people around them that boundaries are important.
Grimmer, I know this kind of extends into what you're talking about. I really loved bonding with those younger moms today. You know, we had a breastfeeding mom here. We had a mom of a few older children as well. It was a nice mixture of folks. But one of the things that I heard probably four of the women say this at one point or another during the course of the 2 days. And I know enough of these other folks out here that say this frequently enough that I really think we need to have a class on not saying I'm sorry. No, I do. We need to really talk about that, because I know that there are a few of you that are on this live stream with us right now that I have had that conversation with. You don't need to say you're sorry about things that are just so. If it is what it is, you know, there are some folks that apologize for everything, and I think that's also a boundary issue, because you're taking on not only the responsibility of yourself, but you're taking on the responsibility of the other person. And you're apologizing to them for something that might have been out of your control, or not even really, you know, applicable to the situation. But and I'm not being critical here, because I remember a young Gussie who did that same thing.
I remember a time in our relationship that I felt the need to remind you that you should never apologize for the way you feel.
Right.
Never apologize for the way you feel, potentially for how you react to your feelings, how you project your feelings, but the feeling in and of itself, no.
I think you're taking a different direction though.
Okay.
I'm talking about, and guys don't do this. I don't know, the male energy just doesn't line up with this, but there are a lot of women. Raise your hands out there if you're one of them that has done this in the past. Um, but we apologize for this, like the slightest thing. Like somebody might come in to the room and say, "Oh, I was just looking for my phone." Not, and that person will say, "I don't see it." "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't see your phone." And there's a lot of apologizing before there is ever a need to apologize for it.
I see what you're saying.
And that is that apologetic, I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, I'm somehow not, you know, I'm not there for you, somehow you're gonna think less of me if this happens. And that's just not the case. I'm serious. We need to have an I'm not saying I'm sorry anymore class. Not the kind, like, if you've done something wrong to harm someone or hurt their feelings and you're cognizant of it, that's a different case, right? I'm not talking about that kind. You should apologize if you hurt someone like that. You should have, put on the bigger pants and
I feel what you're saying there. Because even something as insignificant as opening up the door and letting a gust of cold wind in
Mhm.
turns into a 5-minute apology session for some folks because
Yes.
they let the cold air in.
Right.
Okay.
Kimmy King says trauma response, and I
It
think
is.
that is absolutely. Um, so that's something to be aware of, because I do believe that's all wrapped up in our recognizing our boundaries. You know, how far we allow ourselves to push and how far we allow ourselves to be pushed. And those of us that
Ooh,
have that trauma response, we allow ourselves to be pushed quite far.
that I could be wrong here, but I see that that is one of the reasons that boundary lines get blurred. If you're constantly apologizing,
That's also true. I hadn't thought about that perspective. It
especially
gives the other person,
power.
yeah, they're like, because some people, even though you've done nothing wrong, you say, I'm sorry, they go,
That's all right. It's okay.
yeah, and you know, it's a weird way to communicate, but if you think about words having power, saying sorry for something that is not something you should feel sorry for is kind of a waste of your energy, and it's giving your power to that other person and saying, somehow I wasn't enough or I'm not right, but you are, and here you go, I'm sorry. So,
You're right. Those words do have power. In all honesty, those two words, I'm sorry, should almost be sacred words
mm,
because you should only use them
when you are.
when you are, when you
Ooh,
truly are.
ooh, that's a good one. Like, whenever I think about folks that say I'm sorry, and I know, like I said, I know this from my own background. I often I feel sorry for them because it feels like victimhood. You know what I mean? Not in a bad way, but they've placed themselves in the role of always being at fault,
Mhm.
always being to
Oh,
blame.
and then if that is the personality trait that you possess, that tells me two things. One is you've got one of the sweetest personalities out there because you genuinely do care about the people around you to such a degree that something as significant as opening up the door and letting cold wind in because you were bringing in the groceries.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
tells me you're a wonderful human being, but it also tells me that somebody in your life has taught you to feel bad for their discomforts,
Oh,
regardless
yes.
of who caused the discomfort
Yes, I agree
or
with
the
that.
cause of the discomfort.
I agree with
It
that.
also tells me that if you're the type that blurs those lines, you will most likely draw to you people that don't mind stepping over those lines.
They don't mind. Yep, they don't mind blurring the lines with you.
Yep,
Right. Now, sometimes it's not always,
that cut and dry.
well, no, it's not always a bad thing to blur lines. Like sometimes we make conscious choices. You know, I don't usually let this happen, but this time I'm going to, because if it's for the greater good, a lot of times we'll stick with it. But oh,
If you are so stout, I think what you're going to say there,
I'm hearing something. I'm sorry. Something about someone's son. I'm gonna let that come through a little more clearly. Go ahead,
when we
Grim.
draw those boundary lines, we must remember that they can be moved, they can be nudged, but that should be at your discretion. But they should never be hard and fast and true and unmovable. Some things, yes. But there are circumstances in your life where you may have to intentionally move your line a little bit to help another person out of a situation. There may be times that you have to blur your line a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
free up your ability to help somebody out of a bad spot.
Mm-hmm. But if you're apologizing on the regular and you've started to notice it and you're not doing anything about that, you got some shadows. Got some shadows to work on, because There is no reason for one. Think about it from a statistic standpoint for a moment, will you? I know you might not be into math, but how could one person be solely responsible for so many apologetic occurrences? Why would one person, unless you are a walking pigpen chaotic mess from hell, and I know none of you are, none of us are that lost, right? We're all still on the path and we're keeping it together enough. So you know, take some
Weeds on the path.
take some time to take a look at, do some foraging on that path, see what you're working with. You know, are there some warts that are looking pretty healthy and will come in handy, or can you remove a few of them and make some more space on that path? I mean, just because it's growing there doesn't mean it has to stay.
Christy Reed says, cool, more shadow boxes. The I'm sorry shadows.
You know, Kimmy says,
That's
ooh, there's a sun comment. Maybe that's the one I was feeling. Is there a grandfather crossed over in that situation, Kimmy? Because I felt like grandfather trying to be involved. She says, my youngest son does it all the time because of having a narcissistic father who we always walked on eggshells around. Yeah. I mean, you know, that tricky narcissism thing, uh, it's it's certainly a buzzword out there, just like, you know, toxic relationship is kind of buzzing around out there these days. But it's important to consider that. Also, when you know someone is a narcissist, you've got to take the time to complicitly look at what it was about you that you were drawn to that in the first place. And, you know, what you must have received something from the relationship at one point. It's a good time to do some self exploration and figure out what were the benefits that, oh, thanks, babe. What were the benefits that you were receiving? And I know you go, oh, it was a horrible relationship. I didn't receive any benefits. Listen, we don't go into relationships thinking that we're going to get divorced. We don't enter into romantic partnerships with people thinking that it's not going to work out. And if you do, shame on you, because then you are just setting yourself up for failure right off the bat. But most of us just get into situations where we didn't realize our shadows and their shadows were really not compatible. Sometimes folks are able to work it out if they can stick it out together and really have some hard, honest conversations with one another. And it does involve boundaries. It definitely involves boundaries. And not only you setting your boundaries, but the other person loving you enough to respect those boundaries. And boundaries are easy to cross. They are easy to cross. Even when sometimes we don't intend to cross them, we cross them. And I think we are, um, I think we are, um, oh, I just lost my brain. Don't know what I was going to say.
I just had a thought.
What's that?
In those types of relationships, just knowing that nature seeks balance, that
Mm-hmm.
the universe does seek a natural equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
When a person is empathic or extremely sensitive, the balance to that is narcissism. It is narcissistic behavior. It's the opposite of that loving and caring.
Right.
But that true empath, that true giving and loving person, if they're living a shadowless life, can distinguish between that
Right.
in a way that our shadows prevent us from viewing.
Right. So if you're still drawn to that narcissistic personality trait, there's some digging around you need to do. Again, I'm not like pointing finger victim blaming. I'm really not. Uh, I
That's one
know,
of the steps of unwinding yourself out of that
right.
relationship.
It's your turn to do the shadow work to figure out what it was that drew you to that person in the first place. And I love what Kay says here. Um, Empaths are drawn to narcissists because we try to fix them and not realize how toxic they are. True, but once you realize the narcissism, it's there. You really can't fix them, and we find it. We find that out pretty quickly, don't we? But the only thing we can really change about that equation is ourselves. So, you know, people, and I say this tongue in cheek because let me tell you, I was in a relationship for a longer than I should have been based out of fear of what would happen next, what would happen if, what, and I really talked myself into staying much longer than I should have, based out of fear of what I was afraid because I was hearing what he was telling me, and there was a part of me that was listening. And I look back on that, and I grew up being kind of the,
Scapegoat.
yeah. And so it's almost like I walked right into that relationship. I don't even think that he treated me that way on purpose. I think that our
Shadows did.
our shadows just aligned us beautifully for those moments. And even though it was, up and down roller coaster ride from hell for a long time, when we both finally stepped away, I think, now almost 20 years down the road, um, it finally feels settled. And,
Friendship.
yeah, hard to believe. Hey, Grimmer, we haven't said hi to anybody at all. Let's see. So we know Christy's here. We've been talking to Christy. Hi, Christy. Hello, LJ. Hello, Angela Turley. Love my hat. Michelle Kleckler Caps. I love to say her name.
I know you do.
And Christy tagged a few people. Oh, look, Hannah. Hannah was
Hi,
here.
Hannah.
I hope she's still here. I love you too. Emily Fawn was tagged. Oh, good. I know Emily has to work a lot this time of the day. She really misses 420-ish, but Brandon is here, and LJ, thanks for tagging a few folks. Jane Husky, hello. You just had a birthday, lady. You know what? By the way, um, contact me about your reading because you won the birthday draw. I just forgot to say anything, and I forgot to text because my weekend just got out of
Screwballing.
control in a good way. But contact me because yes. Um, Christy, Amy Afod says she'll be watching it later. So here's to you, Afod, in the future. I love you. Um, Jane says she apologizes all the time, and so does Christy. Christy says I apologize for everything, how I speak, my country drawl, for my appearance, for how people interrupt what I say. I've done that all my life.
Well,
Yeah,
all I've got to say in regards to that country draw, only apologize if you lose it.
yeah, yes. Let's see, who else do we have here? Carla says hello and says she was a scapegoat too. Hannah's still here. Oh, good. Hi, Hannah. We love you. You need to come visit us at the church. Come visit us at the old church. Come this summer when the lake is beautiful. And yeah, we're actually thinking about having a Purple Door Witch Gathering here in July. By the way, if
Not
anybody's,
thinking we're
we are
actually
doing it.
actively planning
We're
it.
actively planning it. It's just that
What we're thinking
we're
on is
kind of ishing it right at the moment. But
what we're thinking on is how far do we cast our net?
right, right. Deb Kirkland, hello, and we know Deb will be there. Deb's a Michigan witch with us. Christy Green says, I'm here, but I can't see anyone else. Interesting. Deb says, I apologize my whole life. I can remember being yelled at as a kid, always apologizing. Right, and that doesn't make anything better when you get yelled at for it, right? I mean, that does not help the situation. But if we can figure out what is causing us to always feel so sorry, apologetic, and it really, if when I looked back on myself saying I'm sorry in those moments, I gotta be honest, it was less of me feeling truly sorry about it and more of me putting a buffer up with the person that I'm talking to. So if I apologize to them right off the bat, they can't come at me too hard. And I'm a person that does not like conflict. So I
But
think,
the
I'm
unintended
sorry.
consequence of that is on the other side of that spectrum is somebody like me that in the past
Oh,
would
God.
take advantage of that apology to some degree or another. A person that apologizes incessantly gave me permission to step on their toes because they were already sorry. They must have done it themselves. They must be the reason that I'm acting this way. I'll accept their apology.
Ooh, that sounds a little narcissistic.
Mm,
Hold me.
if the foo shits.
Hold me.
I won't deny that there have been times in my life, I haven't always been narcissistic, but there are times in my life that that has been a trait that I presented very strongly. And it's usually in those times when I'm feeling the most lost, hurt, confused, and shadow ridden.
Right. When you're feeling trapped.
When I'm feeling trapped, out of control,
Yep.
depressed, anxious.
Yep.
Any number of those feelings can trigger a narcissistic
It
pattern
sure can.
in anybody,
Right,
really, but
right.
definitely in me.
So, as I was shuffling my Dark Mansion tarot deck that I've been playing with recently, this one, so fun. Um, I was shuffling along like I do. I always shuffle 7 times, and then one card popped out in the reverse position, but it is this little old friend, the Death card again. We just talked to Death on Friday. But
It was the topic of conversation in
it,
that
it
card yesterday during soul care
oh, was it?
between one of the attendees and myself.
Oh, do you want to talk about it then? Share some insight.
I,
Well,
well, I just got hornswoggled.
because I feel like, well, I feel like the Death card is always an opportunity for change.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly when it's kind of in the reverse position, that always tells me that there's some resistance to that change,
Yep.
which makes sense because, it isn't easy to dig into your shadows and figure out why and say, oh God,
Well,
they're right.
I'm gonna take it past the shadows and into a little bit of the conversation that we had around the
Okay.
death card in particular. And with it being in reverse right now, I think it is really applicable. The death card in reverse in this instance tells me, and based on this topic, that we're resisting leaving the old us behind and allowing the true us to catch up with ourselves.
That just gave me chills because it made me think about what we were talking about on Friday, which was turning around to face yourself.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
turning around and facing that scary person that's chasing you in the dreams with the dogs snarling and the yipping and the scary. It's oftentimes yourself, a version of yourself that you've been afraid to look at. And believe it or not, a lot of times it's a beautiful side of yourself that you've been pushing away because you didn't feel you were worthy or honorable enough for it or somehow, up to snuff.
Oh my God. This death card's very applicable. Holy shit.
Tell us how you feel, Grim.
We apologize insistently because we don't feel worthy. For some reason, that's what it boils down to ultimately. It is our own sense of self-worth.
It's a meekness.
It's a meekness. It's a timidity that has been instilled within us by our culture, by our relationship with our parents, by our relationship with ourselves.
And for other folks, not
This,
just parents, because, you know,
yeah,
sometimes it's,
teachers, it's
yes.
coworkers, bosses. We are given ample opportunity to collect shadows,
Mm-hmm.
collect reasons to hide behind our own guilts and remorses. When we enter into a room of people and we feel that need to immediately apologize for anything at all, that, as Gussie said, is putting up a buffer, a shield between you and that other person or you and that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
The death card upside down is telling me that there's still a huge portion of people that are afraid to truly step into their own power, their own strength, their own sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
They see it, they can feel it back there tickling in the back of their head that there's something more, but there's a resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And what made me have my oh shit moment was when I was financially successful by my definition at the time. It's because I wasn't apologetic. for the insignificant things. I reserved my apologies for those things that made a difference, for those things that I had control and power over. I didn't give and surrender my power over to anybody other than myself. Now, at the time, I was doing it wrong and for the wrong reasons, and I see a difference now versus how I would do it. But my relationship with money really is boiling down to my self-worth. I don't feel like I deserve to be a millionaire. I don't feel like I deserve to have great wealth. So when those opportunities are presented to us where we have a chance to expand our financial well-being, we sabotage ourselves. We tell ourselves, no, we're not worthy. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we find ourselves in a windfall of cash, we go out and spend a big chunk of it on those immediate things that we wanted when we didn't have the cash,
Well, that sometimes it's what we've needed,
what we've needed.
but it's
And
gone.
then when there's excess, we give it away, we squander it, we don't hold on to it. We don't feel worthy to hold it.
That's why people go on, they call it retail therapy.
Yes.
That's actually shadow work just waiting to surface.
Yes.
Yep.
But that death card upside down is telling me that there is a huge, huge portion of the population worldwide that is ready to step into their sovereignty.
We are. I think
We are.
there's a whole bunch of us that are out there
But
having
what's
timey-wimey moments, brain fog, happiness, sadness,
but what is keeping you from
headaches.
what is
stomachache.
truly keeping you from stopping and letting your truest self catch up? And I would be willing to bet for 99% of us, it's our own self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
our own view of our own right
Mm-hmm.
to possess greatness, to possess power, to possess magic.
And remember, those of you that joined us on Friday, just to be clear, when we talk about power, we are not necessarily, I mean, for some of you it might be this, but we're not talking about that She-Ra, Highlander moment where there's electricity in the air and things are charged. It can be that way. But mostly what I've experienced as power is this feeling in my gut, in my heart, in my mind, where I know I'm solid where I'm standing. The decisions I've made are solid ones. I feel supported. I feel right in my decision making. I feel love, and above all, even when somebody comes at me with some, unpleasant news or whatnot, I try to handle it with grace. For me, standing in my love and grace is me standing in my power.
It's a
And
different feeling too. If you're in a combative, confronting situation and you respond with your anger, and I'm speaking from my own personal
that's,
experience here. At the end, whether I won the argument doesn't matter because I responded in anger. I beat my opponent into submission. Whether they agreed with me or not in the end is indifferent. But I have noticed over the years as I try and approach those situations with passionate indifference to my own emotions about the scenario,
mm-hmm,
I feel stronger, more committed, more confident, and less of a need to apologize.
mm-hmm. Right, I do too. I don't think I apologize
No,
nearly as much as I
no.
used to. It's just not part of me anymore. And I can't tell you exactly when I let go of that. Um, but I did, and I'm so glad because I did. I started getting tired of hearing people say, "Oh, you don't need to say you're sorry,"
Or no, that's okay,
or
dear.
"That's okay," and just spend some time thinking about where you fit on that part of the spectrum, because all of us, that's one of those spectrum things. Some of us do it a lot, and some of us don't do it hardly at all. Some of us never do, and some of us do it way more than we need to. So take some time to delve into that one a little bit and ask your higher self as you're drifting off to sleep tonight, show me what it is that I need to know about this. What do I need to lift this one from me? What do I need to take this one away? It's a beautiful night to do that. There is a full moon, and I think it's a worm moon, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound right? Springtime?
Yep, that sounds right.
Worm casings? I
Yep.
think so. And also, there is a lunar eclipse. I don't remember if it's partial or full.
I don't. All I know is that what I read today is the moon's going to dim slightly over us tonight.
Right, right. And there might be some aurora borealis
Yep.
activity because of the sunstorms that are the solar flares that are
And
really hitting the earth right
and
now.
I'm going to speak on behalf of Gussie here on that regard. Ground yourself. Ground yourself. Ground yourself.
Yeah. That on top of this um, solar eclipse coming up in just like another week and a half kind of
The
thing.
energy starting to build.
The energy, yeah, it's already been building for quite a while. Just to let you know, a couple of things. The first Monday of the month, Grim and I usually do a live stream at 7-ish Eastern Standard Time. And that's open to anybody on the Purple Door and our followers. I think you stream it on Gussie and Grim, don't you?
Yep.
And our topic that night is going to be astrology because this month our our Purple Door ezine, is focusing on the alchemy of astrology. And so we are going to interview and have a chat with our resident astrologer, Copper Marie. And I always forget, is it astrologer or astrologist? She always corrects me. One of them is correct and one of them is incorrect. And it's like knit and crochet. For some reason, my brain can't keep those two things straight.
Because that's not your field of
It's
expertise.
not my field of expertise. But anyways, that is 7-ish on April. I think it's April 1st, first Monday of the month. So stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. She's got a wealth of knowledge about astrology, and I'm sure there's like 5 other astrological things happening right now
Oh yeah.
that I don't talk about because I don't.
I'm going to take this opportunity to plug Copper Marie just a little bit because as I've started to learn more about what she does through my own research, and so I can program our stinking AI, the amount of knowledge that the stars can reveal is absolutely phenomenal. There isn't an aspect of your life that can't be read through the stars in some way, shape, or form.
It's an incredible science.
It really is.
Pseudoscience, I guess some people would call it, but from my heart, from my belief system, it is absolutely uh, a must do when you are practicing magic of any sort.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be aware of your signs and whatnot, and copper is a great resource for that. So if you're interested in having a natal chart done, go to our openthepurpledoor.com website, and there should be a spot. No, there is a spot to book an astrology reading with Copper. She gives Purple Door Witches a little bit of a discount if you go that direction. So there you have it. Go through our website and get your. Oh, hey, Susan. Um, Also, yes, Susan, thank you. She wrote Pause for Peace, 9 p.m. every night, your time. That is something that we as a collective do every night, 9 p.m., Monday through Sunday. Every night we do it, 9 p.m. We focus on a different word. You don't have to focus on the focus word if you don't want to. The whole idea is to get yourself into a peaceful space, even if it's just for a minute. Take some time for you to unwind and just reset yourself, some cleansing breaths. And as you allow that reset to happen and you feel yourself getting recharged, allow that energy to spill out into the community, out into your world, to affect the greater society. We like to think of our collective energy as this big purple ball of gently churning energy in a huge ass cauldron that we've been creating together in this liminal space since about 2016. So Actually, 2000. Yeah, about two. I put a picture of us up yesterday. It was like one of our first live streams.
No way.
Yeah, you
Did I
you
have hair?
uh yeah, and I had like brownish red hair, which is weird because I it seems like that was so long ago.
Yeah, it does.
Um, so join us on the first Monday of the month, and join us on tonight at 9 and tomorrow night at 9 and the next night at 9 to do Pause for Peace. If you do that, please go to the Purple Door and just jot down the time that you did, because I don't know, it recharges us a little bit to know that there are other people out there also.
Just like it feeds the algorithm, it feeds our soul.
Yeah, it does. To know that there are other people, joining us on our mission of spreading hope and love and peace and all that. Even though we're witches, we're supposed to be evil. No, sorry. The other thing is Susan also shared the Patreon. Um, no, she said there is a Patreon. Yes, yes, thank you. Um, we have a Patreon account if you're interested in joining it. We've been really bad about putting things out there just because we've been sort of ass over tea kettle trying to get things caught up, all in a good way. But there is a way to join us there if you're interested in receiving the e-zine. It's only $4.20 a month. It goes toward keeping our Purple Door flowing, the information going, um, helps us keep the lights on, and we really appreciate your support. We have a team of very dedicated witches that have been, many of them have been writing for a few years now. Every month they put out a new article sharing their wisdom and their knowledge with you.
More than just that, sharing what they learn.
Right. Sharing what they learned, but also, it takes some vulnerability to do that.
Yes,
And
it
I'm
does.
proud of all of them. And, they're not, I mean, they're excellent writers, but they're not fancy writers with a writing career. They are witches like you and me and Grimm that just do our everyday magic. And that's what we love about the Purple Door. And that's what the Purple Door e-zine is about. So look at Susan. I love you, Susan. Thanks for sharing all that stuff. Susan, were you around when we did that first live stream, or did you come on the scene later? I don't remember who exactly I met when anymore. It's been so many years, but
I think Susan's pretty much been with us from the very beginning.
no, no, not
No?
not I don't think from the very beginning, not from like 2013. But I don't really know when, but I
About
don't
the
think.
time we dedicated ourselves to making it a constant thing, I think.
Yeah, yep. She's been a real big part of helping this grow. And so, so many other people who I could name your names on here, Shelby being one of them, and Christy Reed and Shannon, and, gosh, I don't even know if I didn't say your name. There's so many people that, you know, interact with Grim and I on a weekly basis to keep things rolling. Um, so, like I said, if you're one of those people, you got a little extra time on your hands and you would like to participate in one of the guilds, or you'd like to help us get our, memes and things that we make. Obviously, Grim and I kind of failed on getting them scheduled ourselves. We're going to have to talk to Angela
Go
again.
back to Angela. We're good at
We can
making
count on
memes.
Angela. We can't count on ourselves to schedule them. So if you're interested in involving yourself in any way like that, please reach out. Susan said she's been around since 2019,
Making sure our calendar block has been on
making
track since
sure
2019.
making sure we're on track since 2019. I love that for you. Keeping Gussie on, because she's been with me. She still to this day, y'all. She'll send me a text about anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half before, just getting me ready that that 420 is coming up, and so I remember to look for my Kleenex, and I do my own little setup, and Grim helps me. But we love Susan. We love all of you guys, and I know I've been yapping here. Oh, it's not quite an hour, so we're doing good.
We are doing
Yeah,
good.
we are. Um,
Well, in the interim here, what, 6 minutes?
yeah,
Be
what you
with you.
got? What you got? Oh, don't forget Purple Door Witch Wave. Purple Door Witch Wave on the 28th of this month. It's a meditation, and we usually throw a little ritual in there as part of it. And we actually had somebody ask if we could possibly consider doing that live,
Yeah,
like they could come here to the old church while
do
we.
our witch wave.
So we might explore that. So stay tuned. But what were you going to say, babe?
We started the Purple Door. I always forget what year.
2013.
2013.
It was originally called Bell Book and
Bell
Candle.
Book and Candle. When we started I've said this part many times, and it still holds very true today. When we started the Purple Door, we truly didn't know where it was going to go. We just knew it was going to become something. For the most part, it is manifested into what I honestly feel to be a true community of your average everyday witch, not trying to be something they're not,
Right.
but seeking out who they truly are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank each and every one of you for the minutes, the hours, the days, and the years that you have spent following Gussie and I on Purple Door. It means the absolute world to us. And the amount of change that we have seen in ourselves is only mirrored by the amount of change that we have seen in some of you. Positive change. And it just warms my heart. Thank you.
Be remarkable.
We all are.
Aren't we? I'm with you, Grim. It's been wonderful to watch some folks really take a hold of their spirituality and want to understand, and just no holds barred, just move forward regardless. And I don't mean like haphazardly, but I mean like I don't mean like bull in a china shop kind of way, but I mean the boldness that it takes to
The
face.
no excuses approach.
Exactly. It's been wonderful, and it's been wonderful to grow with everybody. Like you said, you and I have changed so much through the years ourselves, and we're different people than we were. The core part is still the same, but I have more confidence, I know, and you're far less angry than you used to be. So we're doing good.
Well, all I know is I fall in love with every version that you have shown me.
I love you.
So
Sorry, he sits behind me during these, not because he's like subservient back there, but if I'm not right in front of this freaking microphone, it doesn't pick my words up and it gets all choppy and people complain. So I gotta sit right in front, and poor Grim, he's back there, but then you can squeeze my shoulders.
what did I say this afternoon? Behind every great woman is a good tech guy.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the full moon tonight. Wherever you live, don't forget to, stick some water out there, charge it under the full moon light. Even if you don't have actual moonlight, that's okay. The moon's energy still comes through.
Dance with the devil under the pale moonlight.
We can't see the vibrational frequencies of the moon, but they're here. As are some solar activity frequencies as well. So it's a good time to charge. Put your crystals out if they're safe to be outside. If you can do that, it's a good time to recharge them and kind of get them reset as well. Um, and for yourself, it's a good time to reset. And as I said earlier, talk to your higher self tonight as you're drifting off, or maybe at 9 p.m. when you pause for peace, and ask for clarity and letting some of this apologetic side of yourself relax a little and really get to your true essence of who you are, not this meek and mild person that you've been, trying to avoid conflict and feeling like you don't fit in and that you have to apologize for that. Find your way. Grim and I are here. We're holding the light. We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. We love y'all. I hope that you have a remarkable Monday night. If you're a root and read person, don't forget we're meeting tonight at 7. And I think stay magical. Is that right?
I think
Stay
so.
magical. See you on Wednesday.
You know how we are all stardust.